everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. My name is Samantha Genser. I'm going to be your show host for today. We have a very exciting show for you guys. We will be covering how the WNBA rookies are doing in their debut games, USWNT player updates before they head to the World Cup, Italy being crowned Women's Gymnastics European Team Champions, college track and field updates, and then make sure you guys stay till the end where we talk about the Copper Rock Championships and women's golf. Before we start, I would like to ask that you like and follow the show, and you can become a part of our show by tipping and donating. Your support means a lot to us. Also, we do get a lot of questions that come from viewers during the show, so to ensure that your questions get read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link at gsmcpodcast.net with your questions. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it, and also it really helps the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net. Now, let's get started. I hope you guys enjoyed today's content. So I'm very excited for our first segment today. We are going to be talking about the WNBA rookies debut games. These games are very interesting, very fun to watch. If you don't watch them, go watch them right now. This WNBA season has taken off, and yesterday we talked about Caitlin Clark's first game in the WNBA, her debut. But of course, we're all wondering how the other rookies are doing. So we're going to be talking about some rookies in the segment. We're going to talk about Angel Reese from the Chicago Sky, Cameron Brink from the Los Angeles Sparks, Rickea Jackson also from the Los Angeles Sparks, and we will briefly talk about Caitlin Clark from Indiana Fever. But if you are interested in a more deep dive into how she played in her debut game, you should go check out yesterday's show. So let's get started talking about Angel Reese. So unfortunately, the Chicago Sky lost the Dallas Wings on Wednesday, 87-79. There's a lot of losses for these rookies, for their teams, I'm not gonna lie, but we will get into that. Okay, so Chicago Sky lost the Dallas Wings, and Reese played a total of 26 minutes. The Sky led the Wings by 4 points with 5 minutes left, but Dallas went on an 18-6 run to close it out, going 8 of 8, the floor in that stretch. Reese prized herself on defense, and in the opener, she saw how tough it can be to slow down an offense like Dallas when it gets on a roll. I do think she's a really good defender, but this was definitely kind of, I don't want to say a wake-up call, but in a way sort of, as to how good defense can get. Reese had 12 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal in her debut Wednesday. Reese's 8 rebounds, including 5 offensive boards, tied with Elena Delle Donne and Diamond Day Shields for the most by a Sky rookie in her debut game. Reese was 5 for 14 from the field, but was going against a tough tandem inside, Natasha Howard, the 2019 WNBA Defensive Player of the Year, and 6'7" Tiara McCowan. Those two combined for 33 points and 26 rebounds. So, she had some rough competition, that's for sure. Reese's performance on Wednesday was pretty consistent with how she has done in the preseason. For example, on May 7th, the Sky went against the New York Liberty in one of their preseason games, and the Sky dominated the game, dominated the game, ending with a score of 101-53, almost doubling the score. Reese played a total of 19 minutes and scored 13 points. She had 5 rebounds and 1 assist in this game. And then in the May 3rd preseason game, the Sky played against the Minnesota Lynx and lost. This game, Reese played 24 minutes, scored 13 points, had 9 rebounds, and 1 assist. So Reese was pretty consistent Wednesday with how she did during her preseason games, which is really good because she played very well during her preseason games, and it's better not to go to get worse out of the preseason games, that's for sure. So it's good to stay consistent. Reese, though, was not completely proud of the way she played. After nearly notching a double-double, Reese said she wasn't completely satisfied with her effort, where she pulled down 8 rebounds and turned the ball over twice. Reese said after the game, "It wasn't even nerves, I was just missing. I still feel like I didn't play my best game because I left 6 on the free throw line." So Reese on Wednesday night was given a loud ovation when her name was called during player inductions ahead of the game in Arlington, Texas at College Park Center, and her opponents recognized her presence on the floor and off of it on Wednesday. Arika Ogambawale of the Dallas Wings said after the game, she's referring to Angel Reese, a great player on and off the court. She's doing what she needs to do for women, for the W. This is her first game, obviously. She has a long career, but this is a good start for her. And then the Sky's head coach, Teresa Weatherspoon, touched on Reese's performance. And she said, like for everybody, it's a learning process. It's learning, they're growing, knowing what they can do and what they can't do. Our girls went out and competed tonight. We just came up a little bit short. So now we're going to talk about Cameron Brink from the Los Angeles Sparks. The Sparks played against the Atlantic Dream on Wednesday and lost 92-81, unfortunately, but it still was a very close game. Brink started and played 20 minutes total. She finished 4 for 6 from the field for 11 points, adding 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocked shots. And she also had 5 fouls, but unlike collegiate basketball, 5 fouls doesn't disqualify you from the game. So that was good regardless of getting 5 fouls that aren't the smartest play in the world, but still, I mean, it wasn't like she couldn't play the rest of the game. Overall, it was a solid start for Brink, especially considering Atlanta's inside tandem, future Hall of Famer Tina Charles, making her dream debut in her 13th WNBA season, and Cheyenne Parker-Tyus, who made her first All-Star game last season. Brink had the best plus-minus for the Sparks at +8. That's good. And her performance on Wednesday was fairly consistent with how she played in her preseason games. The only thing that popped out at me that was not consistent was how many minutes she played. In the May 4th preseason game, Brink played 22 minutes, whereas she played 20 minutes on Wednesday, so that was consistent, don't get me wrong, but during the May 10th preseason game, Brink only played 8 minutes, so that's very different from the total minutes she played in the Wednesday game and other preseason games. Even when Brink played 8 minutes, her stats were roughly the same as when she played 20 minutes and 22 minutes. When she played 8 minutes, Brink scored 7 points, had 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. In the preseason game where she played 22 minutes, she scored 11 points, had 3 rebounds, and 0 assists. The Sparks coach, Curt Miller, said, Cam has to find a way to stay out of foul trouble because she's so important to what we're doing. She's a really good distributor of the ball as a 6'5" person, so she can create opportunities for her teammates. Defensively, she's great rim protection, but when you play 3 minutes in the first stretch and have to sit down, that's a big blow. Really solid start for her. We just got to keep her on the floor longer. I definitely agree with that. Foul trouble there's a reason it's called foul trouble for a reason. It can get you in trouble. So now we're going to talk about Rickea Jackson, who also is playing for the Los Angeles Sparks. Jackson's first career basket came after she stole the ball and made a layup just before the first half buzzer, tying the score at 48, and this was such a cool play. Coming off the bench, she was 18 minutes and went 3 of 10 from the field for 7 points, adding 3 rebounds Wednesday. I think Jackson played a really good game. She was very consistent with her preseason stats, but when watching the game, Cameron Brink stood out to me more than Jackson. They both played really well, but just in general, I did notice Brink on the court more. And Brink was really more effective on the court also. Jackson is a really smart player on the court, and I feel like she's going to get better and better, making her a super big threat to other players on the court and her competitors. So lastly, let's just briefly talk about Caitlin Clark. And if y'all are interested in hearing a more analyzed version of how she did, I recommend you check out yesterday's show. But for summary, this is not a great game for Clark. There's a lot of controversy surrounding if this was a good game or wasn't a good game for her. I'm very much divided in the middle because I'm a huge fan of her, so it's hard for me to say, of course, but it wasn't a great game for her. This wasn't the perfect debut game, if that makes sense. Connecticut Sun made Clark struggle at some points, and Clark had a total of 10 turnovers. I'm going to repeat that, 10 turnovers. That's rough. She scored a team-high 20 points with 3 assists and 2 steals, but she also shot 5 for 15 from the field and 4 for 11 on 3-pointers. The Sun ended up winning the game, and a lot of critics are talking about how Clark really contributed to this loss. It's a team sport. It's not one person to commit those turnovers, but I think that she has so much potential and will be getting a lot better. There are just a lot of over-the-top expectations for Clark, to be honest, and I think this game really showed that. Clark didn't lose confidence, which is great, and she was optimistic after the game, trying not to dwell on one bad loss. I don't think this is particularly a bad game for Clark, but it wasn't a great game for her either. So now we're going to transition to our next segment where we're going to talk about the USWNT updates before they head to the World Cup. Before we do so, we are going to be taking a very short break, so I will get back to you guys very soon.